L.A., Lower Alabama. Get it right. So me and Don drove down to Phoenix City, Alabama. It's just across the Georgia border from Columbus, and when you pull up to what Chad calls the white trash hacienda, you start to understand that this man has a specific sense of humor and zero interest in impressing anybody. What you walk into is a property, a working property, welding shop, wood shop, sawmill pad, a giant custom pizza oven, and somewhere in the back, an excavator. Chad, or Papa Chad as you might know him, has been in the maker community since around 2020. He came up through Workbench Con in Atlanta, which is more of a classroom-based event for makers. It's a good event, but Chad, he had something different in mind. Now here's what I want you to hold on to for the entire episode. Welding programs have been disappearing out of public schools for decades. Shop class used to be in every middle school, every high school, and now it's kind of a relic. And the trades are feeling that. The industry as a whole is feeling that. There's a labor gap that everyone in the world loves to talk about, but not a lot of people are really doing much to solve it. But the maker community, guys who come and open up their shops and say, hey, come learn, they're filling that gap. I've been to Maker Camp 3 times now, and I can still remember teaching people how to stick weld and learning a thing or two from the people that helped us out. Chad looked around and thought, why is nobody doing this in the South? So he built one on his own land for the first time ever. Here is what you're looking at when you walk into Sparks and Sawdust. There's a Santa Maria grill build happening in the middle of the shop, full fabrication. This is a real project. The design came from Chris Verdi, aka Green Money Fab, a name that'll come up more than once in this episode. There's a prep station set up nearby being led by the one and only Jimmy DeResta, and it looks like one solid piece of furniture for sure. JD, aka Apex-ish, was doing skill demos running throughout the day, covering both torch and plasma cutting and showing people arc gouging. I'm willing to bet that most of the people that showed up to Sparks and Sawdust had never seen arc gouging before. Those demos are the foot in the door that most people never get. Then there's Old Bub. Old Bub is the pizza oven, and Old Bub is serious. 30 pizzas, in and out, on a pizza oven that Chad built from a design from Chris Verdi. The pizza paddle, by the way, the tool that you use to slide the pizza in, made from a recycled landscaping rake handle and some scrap aluminum. Recycled landscape rake. Everything on the property has a story. Nothing gets wasted. So over here, you might recognize this guy. His name's JD, Apex-ish, and Green Money Fab. You know him. What are we doing over here, guys?
We are working on making parts to build a grill that he designed.
Yep. Yeah, Santa Maria Grill. It's going to have 2 individual, at least the plan is for it to have 2 individual food grates that go up and down.
We've built one of your grills so far.
Yeah, it was a good time. He helped finish it.
Yeah, yeah, you guys built it. We just kind of got it started, so hopefully we can help finish this one today. Tom is from Phoenix Wood Shop, and he came to Sparks and Sawdust as a woodworker. He left as someone who knows how to lay down a bead in a weekend because somebody took the time to teach him. And Tom had something to say about why it hits different when you're working on a real project as opposed to a flat piece of practice plate in a shop. Tom, how have you enjoyed learning welding by building this?
Well, I started welding a couple of little pieces in a shop, like usually do in butt joints and squared up together. This you have because you're a part of something bigger than yourself. You want it better, and the pressure's on. But you don't learn as well by textbook in the shop as you do by experience. This is experience and getting to be a part of it and elevating yourself because other good people are around you. You get to get elevated with them.
You get elevated with them. That is the entire argument for community-based learning right there. From a woodworker who learned how to weld over a weekend in someone's backyard. And then there's Jacob, Chad's nephew. Jacob wanted to learn how to weld. Jacob came to his uncle's first-time event. Jacob welded for the first time, and he did a great job. I was the one that got to teach him. That is the idea.
My idea of this is I wanted it hands-on. And I want people to come out of their comfort zones because that's how we learn to do stuff is by doing something we've never done. And I knew I had some real good guys here that could lead it. Like Tom over here that's welding on it right now. He's worked on it all day yesterday. Tom's not a welder. So Tom does.
He is now.
He is now. He does CNC work and he has really ran with it. This is Tom. Look at Tom. He's a welder now, got a hood on and everything. But he has worked real good on it. So
I was able to do some teaching over there with your nephew.
yeah, that's right. Young Jacob, that was his first welding he's ever done.
And he did great.
I seen it later on, and I heard it when you were welding. I was like, oh, he's got it humming. So
Yeah.
he did good. And that is, really, that explains what I wanted to do. He had never welded. He's been wanting to learn how to weld. And I was like, I'll have people here that are good at teaching. And so that worked out perfect. That's kind of the idea behind the whole thing.
Let's talk about welding itself for a second, because Chad had a take on this that I think a lot of people in the audience need to hear.
Everywhere I go, I see weld.com.
We're
And I'm
everywhere.
not a welder. That's the thing about it. I learned to weld in school, and I've always welded for my own attachments and fixing my own stuff. And I think everybody should know how to weld.
I do too.
It's a good. Not, if you're even if you're not going to do it as a trade, it's just a good knowledge base. You can do so much with it.
Yeah,
We
I
got
agree.
some real good welders here, and I just glue stuff together. But it's like I said, part of the deal for this event, we'll do a metal event, get the woodworkers in on it, and a grinder will fix a lot of welds.
Yep. As they say, a grinder and paint makes you the welder you ain't.
There you go. It works.
Okay, the excavator. Here's the format. You climb into the excavator and you pick up a kettlebell with the bucket. Then you have to move it over to a post without knocking that down, and the fastest time wins. Chad had a philosophy going into the competition. Experience sometimes is the thing that slows you down.
So when we were up at Maker Camp last October, they had the little mini stuff.
Yeah.
The little itty bitty small ones. And I've just seen how people like that. So I was like, you know what? Most of the people that come to this has never been in a piece of equipment. The person with no experience should win it.
Yeah.
Because, you don't know nothing, so you don't have to unknow anything.
I made it to round 2 of the competition. I picked up the kettlebell, I got moving, and then I dropped it. Chad's son, aka Pepper, won the excavator competition. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, they say. For a lot of people who make things, who work in shops and on farms and in their backyards, that space is personal. It's not a studio, it's not a set. It's where you do the work, and opening it up takes a special kind of trust in the community you're inviting in. That trust is what Sparks and Sawdust is built on. I want to give you the piece of this that matters if you're thinking about hosting something like this yourself, because I know some of you are. Keep it small. Do registration, don't charge, learn, do it again the next year. That is the blueprint. People probably dream of putting something like this on. What is your advice now that you put on your first event? What's your advice to people?
I think to do like I did, is keep it small the first time. And we learned a lot, Don't get too many people.
Yeah.
I would say keep it smaller than what you expect. And this is part of the idea is now I've got knowledge. So next year we'll know, okay, let's do this. This worked good. Maybe we'll spread it out a little bit more. Every year we'll learn more and more.
Yeah.
I'm not an event planner. I'm just old redneck.
Well, I think you did a great job for an old redneck.
Not too bad. That's what they say. I think we've had pretty good feedback. And I just, I do thank everybody that come down. It's just been awesome.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you having us out, man.
Yeah. I mean, when you said, hey, weld.com wants to come to the hacienda, I was like, shoot, come on.
He did a better job than most event planners I've ever seen, because he wasn't trying to make money or build a brand. He was trying to build a thing, a real thing, a place where people show up and get their hands on equipment they've never touched and leave knowing something they didn't know before. That's the whole arc. You show up not knowing, you try, you fail at some of it, and then you leave better than you came in. That is what these events are. That's what the maker community is. And in a world where shop class has been pulled out of the schools, these gatherings are how the next generation finds the craft. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Weld, and a huge thank you to Papa Chad for putting on the event and everyone that hung out with us and talked. It really was an awesome event to be a part of. If you want to find Chad, and you should, he's on Instagram as Alabama Papa Chad. His website is papachad.com, and he's already thinking about next year. I'd register early. Tom, the woodworker who learned how to weld, is the Phoenix Wood Shop on Instagram. Go find his work, give him a follow because he definitely earned it this weekend. Chris Verdi, aka Green Money Fab, designed the Santa Maria grill at this event and the offset smoker we built at Maker Camp. If you want to see the smoker build, links down in the description too. Chris is definitely one of the most important connective threads in this whole community, so go check out what he does. If you are subscribed to the podcast, I truly thank you. If you're not, you should do it so that you don't miss more episodes that come out every single week. I'm Bo Wigington. Until next time, see you out there.